Good morning. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever it is that you wish to drink. I have my coffee as usual. It is a lovely, cloudy, overcast day. 74 degrees in the south. It has been extremely hot. And I have my citronella candle going because, mosquitoes are damn near the state bird. It's an exaggeration, but they are extremely annoying, especially underneath this carport. So, I had this lovely thing to protect me. Otherwise, I get eaten alive. I like being under here because even when it rains, I can still sit under here. So it's nice to be able to enjoy things. But this is going to be a random chat. I don't know particularly what I want to talk about. I have so much that I want to talk about that it's just, I don't know which one to decide. What I was thinking about before I started this was I was trying to remember my inspiration for my coffee time videos. And I remembered this graphic. Can't really call it a meme, it was more of a graphic. That said coffee time on it. It was brown. I'll see if I can dig it up and then post this thumbnail. That's the easiest way for me to do a show and tell without screen recording my phone. Screen recording my phone is for more others. I don't know. Anyway, I'm still waking up. It has been a very stressful week, and I think my nervous system is just now calming down. But coffee time videos. It had some sort of coffee cups on it, either one or two, I don't remember which. And the concept of it was to just be able to sit there with a friend, whoever watches, and to just have a chat. I could talk about whatever that was going on in my brain, whatever thought process that I was having about any sort of random topic, and it would just be like talking with a friend over a cup of coffee, or, well, for me it's coffee, but I understand that other people prefer other things. I have a friend who prefers tea over anything else. So, it's to honor those preferences, to honor our differences, but to still be able to open up the floor for discussion. It's not you have to drink coffee or else you're not invited. You're invited. Drink whatever it is that you want. If you wish to stay for the conversation, please feel free to do so. So, that was my inspiration for the coffee time videos. I don't remember if anything else had inspired it. I'm having two people in my head in one video, but I don't remember if I had found them afterwards, after I had started mine, or if it happened before. And that's probably going to drive me nuts until I figure it out, even though I might not even be able to find them. I don't know. Disclaimer. This is, I'm not directing it at any sort of person. Anyone that I mention here and out is just an example. Okay? I'm not, we're done with all that. For the most part. I understand that I showed a younger self of this particular person. Again, as an example. It was to show a date in the timeline that was happening, and to show that this behavior existed then and still exists now. Moving on to my point, because I don't want to seem like a hypocrite, and I don't want to seem like I'm holding a double standard over someone's head. You know, I wouldn't want that happening to me. It has happened recently, which drives me fucking nuts. But I may or may not address that in another video. I already have, so I don't have to. Anyway. I just remembered that I already have. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all this in order to get to my point. I have had people judge my younger self for sharing the draconic path and draconic Wicca when I had thought of it back then, and when it flew out of my mouth back then. This is where we get to my point. I do not appreciate people judging my younger self. That was 14 years ago. I was 22 years old. And you really need to take into consideration the emotional maturity, the mental maturity, just maturity in general of 20-something-year-olds. You know, even if you tell them that they're wrong or that they're overreacting or they have an attitude, they're basically just big teenagers. And that's basically what I was. I was a big teenager. I had an attitude. I was a very fiery, feisty little thing. You know, it can still happen. But we reel that in. So then we're not being able to control my emotions rather than my emotions controlling me. That has been a huge lesson over the past few years. Huge. And even recently, like, I still catch myself. But we reach for progress, not perfection, because if we are perfect, then our story's over. If you... I'm trying to think of how to put this in a very gentle manner, especially for those who haven't read the book. Rebecca Yarros, Fourth Wing. A particular character was too perfect, so their story ended. But I won't give spoilers. But yes, this is one topic that I really want to get into is books. I know Laura, well, no, she still goes by Laura. I sometimes forget because I don't know. But I know she has had her lovely obsession with books. interests in books. She even had a group called Enchanted Tombs that I was a part of, ran games for and whatnot back in 2019. That was fun. But it's nice to have friends who have similar interests, but we're not stealing from each other. But yes, I absolutely love Fourth Wing. I was sucked into it. We will get into that in another video because I'm getting off topic. This is what happens. My brain is just like, woo. And this is why it's a random chat. Because of these things happening. Because I don't have a roadmap in my head on what I want to talk about and, how and where, and I don't have the map in my head. Going back to my younger self. Detour back. Back then, I ummed a lot. I hadn't restarted this video because I had done it twice already. I didn't want to I understand why I did it back then. It was because I would think of these things and I would get so excited in order to do a video, to share my thoughts and my feelings, but I wouldn't have it really mapped out in my head. I don't want what I want to talk about. It was just all over the place, so I ummed a lot. That was me trying to get my brain together. It's kind of like my hand twitched. Almost like sitting idle on the road and not knowing, like you're at a stop sign and you're not knowing which way in order to go. So you and then you figure it out and then you keep going until you get to the next stop sign. There were a lot of things that I had gone through in my younger life. I had my bullies that would silence me. I had a bully, I still remember his name, I still remember his face. Again, I will not name names, but I was in 4th grade and I was at the lunch table in the cafeteria, and every time that I would open up my mouth, he would tell me to shut up. To the point that I just stopped talking to people. It was just every time I opened up my mouth, every day, until I finally shut up. Going back to kindergarten, I had, when it came to my emotions, I'd been told that I'm too sensitive throughout my life, but back then, all the way to school and all the way back on the bus, one of these kids would start the entire bus, except for my couple of friends, chanting Jessica is a crybaby. To the point that I stopped crying. And then, my stepdad of 12 years, when I was 13, he unalived himself and I found him. That was a very traumatic experience. And when you're at an age to where you're experiencing trauma and going through puberty at the same time, You know, trauma itself is bad enough. Puberty is bad enough. And then you combine them and you get this toxic shitstorm. And, you know, back then we didn't know about mental health. We didn't know about emotional health. We didn't know this, that, and the other thing. You know, we did not know. And it took me until I was an adult with children, and I'm standing there. You're going to judge me for it, but I'm standing there yelling at my damn kids, and then I just stopped and I thought about it. And it's like, I can't even control my own emotions. How can I expect them to know how to control theirs? And then it just clicked. Everything just fucking clicked into place, and it just like, holy shit. And I started seeing progressively everything that I was doing wrong as a human that I didn't know, and expecting my children to already know this, but yet I didn't even know it as a child, and hence why I was messed up as an adult. So it's like, I can't take this out on my kids when I don't know it myself. So that's when my mental health journey and healing and everything else really ramped up. Because just because your fucking parents did it to you does not mean that you get to be a dick to your kids. It's bullshit. You know, they beat you, so you go ahead and beat your kids. There are certain things that there's a line, but there's a lot of things where it's like you got to find other methods. Just, I'm not going to put a certain event out there, but it was the only damn thing that worked for my middle child, to finally get him to understand that you don't do things to people and not get consequences. He learned very fast to respect adults, because I wasn't having it. But there are limits. There are limits to everything. But younger self. Younger self. I will not sit here and allow people to judge my younger self for my attitude. I was a very hurt individual that was finally starting to speak. Not that I was mute, okay? I was finally speaking without being interrupted. It was to a camera, but being able in order to talk to a camera allows me to not be interrupted. It is on my terms. Whether you watch the entire video or not, that's entirely up to you. But then I get to get out what I want to get out, what I need to get out, if there is a need. Without that, because I do talk to people, I talk to my husband, I talk to my friends. And, you know, I still get interrupted. It's not as bad as what it was. He's not sitting there telling me to shut up every time that I open up my mouth. It's rude. But I'm finally starting to feel feelings and get that back. You know, my first couple read-throughs through Fourth Wing. I've read it 4 times since October. Last October. And I've been resisting a 5th. When I first read, the first 2 times I read Fourth Wing, I didn't have emotional reactions. I just read it. I loved it. I loved the storyline, but I didn't get as emotionally invested as some people do. And then on my 3rd read, I finally started to feel the feelings while reading it. Even though I knew what was going to happen, but I still managed to feel the feelings. So, it's like poking a bear who's been in hibernation for years and telling it that it's safe to come out now. And when at first we are like an onion, you know, we have layers. But when you first wake up a bear who has been hibernating for so long, they're gonna be angry. And a lot of times, anger is just a way to cover another emotion. You know, if someone snaps at you out in public, more than likely they're feeling something else that they don't want to be feeling, that they've buried underneath that anger. Hi. But, I did that. But yes, a lot of times anger is just the shit covering other things. So if you're angry all the damn time, you might want to sit with yourself and go, what is this? You know, what? And just kind of like dig through it. You know, don't be around people when you do. Some people are violent. Some people get embarrassed. I hate crying in front of people. I absolutely hate crying in front of people because it is an invulnerability. It is, to me, that I am in an emotional state that people have taken advantage of. People have weaponized it against me. And so I see that as a weakness. And not everyone is safe to be emotional around. You know, yes, I need to be able to control my reactions, my emotions. I also need to be able to recognize who is safe to be emotional around and who isn't. I guess this is kind of late. I don't. No, it's just our random coffee time chat because I don't know what. I am grateful to be sitting here and not sweating my imaginary balls off for once in like 2 weeks. You know it's hot when you end up sweating in places that you didn't know that you could sweat, like right underneath your butt cheek and it goes down the back of your thigh. Wild. this. So I think that's it for now. Please do not judge my younger self. She was very hurt. She had a lot going on that she hadn't dealt with at the time. And she really deserves a hug. A really, really big hug. And to be allowed to scream and cry the way that she needed to back then. And I understand that other people have been hurt. Other people also need to be hugged and told that it's okay to scream and cry and get it out. What is not okay is being an asshole to other people. At some point, we need to mature. At some point, we need to grow up. And to take life advice from others. And go, yeah, okay, I fucked up. That is not a way to live. Being stuck in the cycle of treating others like shit is not a way to live. It makes life very shallow. You end up pedaling on the surface of a puddle rather than diving deep into the ocean. Life is worth a hell of a lot more than that, than just pedaling a puddle. And I know it's hard. I know in other lives, other places, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. We still need to be able to take accountability for ourselves and to grow up, mature, and stop having these toxic traits. I had a realization the other day that really, it finally came to the surface. And maybe it will resonate with other people, those who have actually, this will be the little treasure at the end of the, long ass rainbow if you took the journey to the end, okay? This is your little pot of gold, if you wish to take it. The reason for why people are stuck, why people don't want to heal, is because people don't care about the ones who are healed. If you've done the healing and whatnot, they don't seem to give a damn about you. It's only the injured, the weak, the bleeding that get the attention. You have nurses. Think of it as going to a nurse or a doctor to tend a wound, to tend an illness. Male. Squirrel. You get tended to for as long as you need to until you heal. And then you're sent off and you don't see them again until the next time that you're injured. And you're just wandering through life alone because you're healed And it finally hit me the other day that one of the reasons for why there was a part of me that felt stuck. And every time that I went to approach her, that part of me, she would scream so loud as if she was being murdered. And I could hear it inside of me. And it's just like, thankfully it didn't actually come out because I would have scared my children. But it's just like, what the fuck are you hiding? What are you so afraid of? Like, that part of me was terrified to be healed. And recently, a few days ago, I finally realized she didn't want to be healed. She doesn't want to heal because she doesn't want people to leave. It's the last kernel of the abandonment wound that I've had since I was a child. Because when you heal, people leave. People don't give a shit anymore. And prime example, my shit happened that had nothing to do with this. You know, it had to do with the marital issues. I put it up on Facebook and I get flooded with support. But when I'm healing, it's barely there. People will flood your inbox and your likes and your comments. When something big happens, you get engaged, that you start a new relationship, you get engaged, you get married, you have a kid, you graduate. But those little stepping stones, those little ripples along the way before the big splash, it's crickets. You get a few who have loved you both good and bad, but then you have those who are just like, okay, whatever, it's just life. Where are these people when the little moments matter too? Where are these people when you're healed and you're doing good? Instead, they're just like, oh, you're doing good, I don't like you no more. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I had this part that refused to heal because of that. But then I had to sit back, I had to think on it, process it, and then remind her that if we heal and we lose people, that has nothing to do with us. That has nothing to do with me. And it opens the door for even more genuine connections. It allows us to filter through the bullshit connections. It also allows us to not attract the wounded. Even though we'll still attract them because, you know, we're healed, we're a beacon of healing and whatnot. And that's fine as long as they're willing to do the work, because I didn't always have support. You know, for the most part, in the beginning, I had assistance up until the point that I learned how to do it myself. And I'd say it was about 3 or 6 months until I learned how to read myself again and to get in tune with myself again to be able to do it myself. So that is, and this whole healing journey started in 2018, the very end of 2018. Dee's Tiptoe Chick, her death was the catapult for me to heal. That was when it was a huge hit to my life when she passed. And I regretted not reaching out to her more because I felt like a burden. I did not want to be a burden to her. Because she already had all of these other people talking to her about random ass shit and some other shit that it would upset her. Because it was kind of like pointless stuff. And I didn't want to be one of those people. You know, so I do what I always did and research things on my own up until the point that I hit a wall. Like, I wish I never deleted the conversation. I remember when I deleted it a few months before she passed. It was in July of 2018 that I deleted the conversation, thinking to myself, well, you know, we have time to be able to have other conversations. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And it was because of that regret that made me realize a lot of things that I wanted to change. I wanted to be an example of what she tried to drill into us. This is my tribute to her. This is my tribute to myself. Because I don't want to pedal a pond or pedal a puddle for the rest of my life. And I have 2 tributes on me in honor of her. I have her dragon eye that she had on her wrist. Mine is different, it's upside down, but whatever. And then she wore this huge ass fairy. Mine is smaller, but of roughly the same design. And then I gave my little fairy girl a rainbow moonstone. It's not really catching the light. There is no light because it's cloudy, but it's a rainbow moonstone. And it's, when it shines, it's blue. And so it looks like a little drop of water. So I gave that to the fairy. And the fairy is in tribute to Tiptoe Shape because she had a thing with fairies. So. And then I have my witchy woman mug that I designated to her the day that I found out and broke down in the kitchen crying. That first year was extremely hard. I don't even know how many times I cried over her because she was gone. Because we wouldn't get more videos, we wouldn't just be able to listen to her talk, to see her face again as she progressed through life as a mother. She was a very beautiful light. That a lot of us needed at the time. And it's been, what, almost 7 years now? And I still get emotional. Thank you.